Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. Rick is a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has over 20 years experience in the financial world. And Rick and the team at Safeguard are here to help you come up with that strategy for your retirement. The Big Picture Blueprint will really help give you some direction and clarity on your road to retirement. Income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning, Social Security, Medicare, it's all in there. Everybody's hopes and dreams and needs are different. And that's how Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group create the Big Picture Blueprint. They're not really doing it for you. They're doing it with you because they need to know what are your hopes and dreams for retirement. And that's really, in a way, what we're going to be talking about today on the entire show. So here's the deal. If you want to learn more about Rick and the team, you can always go to the website, safeguardinvestment.com, safeguardinvestment.com. If you have questions, you're like, well, I don't have anything like that Big Picture Blueprint you're talking about, all those categories. I don't really know. I've got an investment strategy. And that's what a lot of people think they're tools, 401k IRAs and all of that. That's their plan. No, they're important in helping create that Big Picture Blueprint, but they're not a plan. They're tools. A lot of different tools you can put in that retirement tool belt. So if you'd like to learn more, it's 800-700-1980, 800-700-1980. Hey, Rick, how are you? Ready to go?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, let's get started.
All right, so here you go. We're going to talk about the 3 stages of retirement, and here are the 3 stages. And I know we were talking before the show. You look at them a little differently. You don't name them but I'm going to name them. I'm going to say there's the go-go years. Those are the years we get to travel and do all the things we've dreamed of, like Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson in the big movie. I think that's kind of the fun part of retirement, the go-go years, the things we've always dreamed of doing. Can we do them? Travel, whatever it is. So there's the go-go years. And we're all going to go through these phases. We just don't know how long they're going to last. The second stage would be the slow-go years. We can go, but we just really don't want to go. And then you get to the no-go years where you really can't go anymore. So, Rick, here's my plan. Tell me if you like it. So Let's say I retire at 70. I'm going to say, okay, I got 10 years, maybe 12, in the go-go years. 3 years in the slow-go, 1 night in the no-go. I like that strategy.
That's actually the perfect plan.
Is it that simple?
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect.
Doesn't always work that way, though, does it? That's really the challenge. We don't know how long we're going to be here. We don't know if we're going to have health challenges. But you call the go-go, slow-go, no-go. You kind of look at them a little differently. Kind of the same gist, but you look at it differently.
Well, yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying with the go-go, the slow-go, and the no-go. But, the terminology that we use that basically addresses exactly what you're talking about is we'll talk about what period of life are you in? Are you in the accumulation phase? Are you in what's called the preservation phase? Or are you in the spend it all period? You got that piggy bank broken trying to spend it all before you head out the door. Like you said, you have the exact date when you're going to be done. So you'll know, hey, listen, you know what? I'm going to spend it all before then. So since you got such a great plan, you'll know exactly when that day is going to be and know when to spend your last dollar. But yeah, there's 3 different phases. And obviously we have to plan for each one of those phases depending upon where we're at in life. And then when it comes to retirement, obviously, the type of planning that we do, since we specialize in retirement planning, we're dealing, with the people that are in the preservation phase. They're just getting ready to retire. They want to make sure they have great income, assets are preserved, and going forward. Where the accumulation phase might be a little bit in the younger years. But if we're talking about retirement, and what you're saying is, hey, a younger person just starting to retire, they're in that go years where they have the, They want to start doing stuff. They want to enjoy that retirement and be more active.
Yeah, like the movie, Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson, the bucket list. So things that you really want to do, dreamed of doing. And, now with YouTube and all those kind of things, you see the 95-year-old grandmother that decided, man, I've always wanted to jump out of an airplane. And they do it. That's great. I mean, it's great. But you think about the go-go years, I would think it's one of the fun things about starting and creating with a couple or an individual you just sat down with for the first time. Because you have to know what they're hoping for, what they're dreaming of, what is a perfect day in retirement. You've heard a lot of great stories, I'm thinking, when it's that first conversation, because you can't create the Big Picture Blueprint without really knowing how and what they want to do during retirement.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's fun and exciting, when people are planning for retirement. And one of the most important things about the planning process is really trying to get to know the individual and understand what their objectives are in retirement. Because, some may decide, hey, listen, you know what, Rick, my wife and I, our goal is to travel. Somebody else might tell me, hey, Rick, you know what? I did a lot of traveling earlier on in my career. I really don't plan on doing a lot of traveling, but maybe I just want to play a little golf and spend more time with the grandkids, and then quite frankly, some people are just like, hey, Rick, I just want to take up a hobby. So understanding exactly where they're at, what objectives they're trying to achieve, then we can design the plan around that. And, going into retirement, let's face it, some people may have certain expectations going into retirement. And then once they're there, they're like, hey, wait a minute. And they may change the game plan a little bit, but at least we can adjust. We understand what their goals are going forward, and then we can design the plan around that to make sure they can achieve it.
Absolutely. And for that simple reason, Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group have created this retirement toolkit, if you will. If you would like this, and what it includes are retirement guides, some information about retirement that you really kind of need to be aware of before you get there. Or maybe you just retired and you're like, well, something's not right here. Maybe you want this. All you have to do is text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. So it includes the retirement guides. It also includes the webinar that Reed Aberdeen put together. So Reed, Eddie Soda, and Rick are the partners at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group. And it's basically the hour-and-a-half presentation cut down to 30 for really what they do for their clients at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group. So it kind of gives you a heads up on what kind of things that they can do for you, hopefully. If you'd like the toolkit, the retirement guides, and the webinar, all you have to do is text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. That's 951-667-4969. So do you ever have people come in, Rick, and say, you know what, we really want to travel. We want to do those things. We don't want to wait. Boy, I hope we have the money at 85 to go to Paris. Well, why not do it at 70 when you're healthier, maybe? I don't know. Do you have people that want to front-end load, for example, their retirement, early? I want to go and do, and then we'll see how it plays out after that?
Yeah, you know what? Absolutely. We get people that, come in and they want to front load it. Some of them, just do the opposite. Now, the earlier you start to plan, the better off is you're going to be. But for those people that want to start, traveling and do all those different things, the planning process needs to be done early rather than doing things kind of willy-nilly. And I think that's the point you're trying to make.
Yeah, I guess if they come in and say, Rick, we just want to sit and, at home and maybe have the grandkids over, every weekend or every Friday night and watch a movie or something and have some popcorn. That's different than, hey, Rick, we want to take the family to Hawaii once a year or go to, go on a big trip to London and Paris. Those are different planning situations.
Totally different planning situations. And we have to make sure that, if that is the plan, we have to make sure that do we have the funds that can sustain that? And again, that's where we're like, hey, listen, we don't want to, make plans in a vacuum. And the other thing too about the planning process is we can even let you know what's realistic and what's not. Some people come in with these grandiose plans, and then after we look at their situation, we're like, hey, listen, you know what? Here's what's realistic, and then we get some people that, they have all this money, they want the comfortable retirement, but they're also scared to do anything because they're so afraid of running out of money. But when we run the numbers, based on income and expenses and the assets, we're like, listen, you know what? You need to spend some of this. Don't be afraid to spend. You can actually go and do, and then we can show them in black and white how they actually can afford to do more than what they're currently doing. So it's always a good idea to have, and then, we can share strategies that our current clients are using that, are in the same situation that they're in, what they're doing in order to make sure that they can achieve the retirement goals that they're trying to achieve. Again, whether it's travel, whether it's sitting at home, spending more time with the grandkids or whatever it is. So yeah, that definitely needs a plan designed around that.
And I would think at times you're almost like a marriage counselor because you might have a spender and a saver in the same couple. That certainly can happen. And then you might have somebody that are both, they've been saving like you were talking about. They're afraid to do something. You're actually showing them proof that they can actually go and do. But maybe you're talking about let's say the husband was traveling, his job was travel the country. He was doing it all the time. He gets retired. He doesn't really want to travel anymore. She, on the other hand, can't wait to go travel now that they're retired. Well, they don't both have to travel all the time. You can go separate ways, but we have to be maybe not on the same page in retirement if we're married, but certainly in the same ballpark, at least have a strategy, a game plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, at the end of the day, I've actually had a couple come in where it was just that scenario where the husband did not want to travel so much anymore. He didn't have the energy to do it, but the wife still wanted to travel. She wanted to do some stuff. So, you know what, we have it planned out so that way she can go and, with her sister and do, a couple of cruises a year. She likes cruises, and I think go back east to, spend some time with the family. So yeah, she leaves the husband at home and she does her thing with her sister and the family, 2-3 times a year. And, everything is hunky dory. So really, it's got to be designed, around you and what your situation is. And sometimes, compromises, have to be made in order to make both individuals happy.
So it's communication. We've always heard that, right? The key to a successful marriage is we got to communicate. Here's what I would like to do in retirement. Here's what I would like to do in retirement. And you find some common ground and you come up with a strategy. That's really one of the challenges. Why you see a lot of, they call them the gray divorces, where people are over the age of 50 are getting divorced because one doesn't want to travel, the other one does, and then they just say, well, heck with it, let's just call it. And that's crazy. Have a strategy, put a plan together. The big picture blueprint will look at all the things that are important, certainly money-wise, income, investments, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning. What about Social Security? It's in the income part. What about Medicare? How do we make those decisions? In the healthcare part. But at the end of the day, it's about putting a plan together. What do you want to do? How do you want to spend your time? Can you, A, afford to do it? Maybe that trip every year overseas might be better if you did it every 3 years. Or maybe, why don't you take the entire family with you? You've already won the game. Spend some of that hard-earned money and enjoy it with your family. Everybody's situation is unique, and the big picture blueprint is all about whomever Rick and Reed and Eddie are sitting down with at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. It is about you. How can they help? 800-700-1980 again is a number to chat with them. There's no cost. There's no obligation. I think it's so important to have somewhat of an idea where you are. You may or may not become a client of Safeguard. It's got to be a good fit for them, but it's got to be a good fit for you as well, because this is a 20, 30 plus year affiliation. Things change in your life. The big picture blueprint is going to change with you. So it's about you. 800-700-1980. Maybe you've never looked this far into retirement. You just can't wait to retire. You're not really sure what you're retiring to. We're going to talk about the other two phases of retirement. We all go through all three. We just don't know how long we have in each one. It's the go-go years, the fun stuff, the bucket list stuff. The slow-go years, we could go, we don't really want to anymore, and then the no-go years. We're still spending money, but it's probably going a different direction in those latter two phases. We're going to talk more with Rick Rivera of the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group right here on the Big Picture Retirement Show when we come back. Stay with us, back right after this.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. I'm Mark Elliott. Again, you can find out more on the website, safeguardinvestment.com. You have questions, 800-700-1980. You'd like the toolkit, the retirement guides, the webinar. That one, all you have to do is text the word toolkit. There's no cost for any of this. They're here to help. But the toolkit, text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. You get all of that. The retirement guides, the webinar, text the word toolkit to 951-667-4969. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us today. Rick and I are talking about the three stages of retirement. And we're kind of looking at it as the go-go years. When you first get into retirement, you're healthy, you're excited. The old Jack Nicholson, Morgan Freeman movie, The Bucket List, things that we could do. And they were, up into their 80s and even maybe to 90 by the time that thing ended. But you have the go-go years, the fun times, the travel, and all those things you've dreamed of doing. Then you get to the slow-go years where you could still do it. You just maybe don't feel like doing it. And then you get to the no-go years when maybe you need help in your house. Maybe you had to go to a facility. You want to make sure everything's taken care of when you're not here for the rest of your family, your surviving family, if you will. But we all go through those stages. We just don't know how long we have in every one of those stages. We don't know if the go-go year is 5 years or 15 years. We don't know if the slow-go year is 5 years or 10 years. We don't know if the no-go year is one night or 10 years where we can't do anything. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Rick, here's my story to bring this into the slow-go. My mom's 86. At 80, her and her 81-year-old boyfriend decided to drive from the middle of the country across the Gulf of Mexico to Charleston, South Carolina. She'd always dreamed of seeing it. So they go, and I say, how was it? And she said, it was beautiful. I'm really glad I got to go see. Charleston's beautiful, but everything we saw along the way was fantastic. I'm never doing it again. And I'm like, Mom, welcome. You've hit the slow-go phase, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's, it's funny that you mentioned that because from time to time, I'll get somebody that comes in and they want to keep working. They want to maximize every dollar they can get out of Social Security. So like, Rick, I'm going to go to 70 so I can maximize every dollar of Social Security, and I can maximize my 401ks and my pensions and all the rest of it. And here's the point that I want to make, is that if you've already won the comfortable retirement, and somebody can show you in black and white that, hey, you won this comfortable retirement, and let's say you're 62, 65, and you actually do want to travel and do all these different things, my suggestion is this. If that extra $300 a month in Social Security is not going to change your life, or that extra, $100,000 that you save in the 401k is nothing that's going to change your life, take advantage of enjoying life now early while you still can, because there have been quite a few situations where I've seen people push to maximize every dollar, and it's not going to make a change. And then when they finally retire and decide to travel and do the things that they want to do, they no longer can, because of health issues, and maybe, or their spouse now has health issues, and now they got to stay and take care of them, or something else happens. And what did we save all this extra money for? So unless you have a special needs situation with the child or whatever, enjoy life now. I have one client that, wants to save every little penny, and she don't have any kids, but it's just so worried. I don't know if there's a depression era mentality, still around. I'm not saying, you need to spend like a drunken sailor,
right.
But enjoy life a little bit. Don't be afraid to spend if you can. And I think part of that is maybe not being educated enough to know that, hey, the portfolio is going to be okay. Your investments are going to be a pension. And I think that if you can sit down with a good advisor that can actually show you everything in black and white, that says, hey, listen, it's okay for you to retire early. You don't need to maximize every dollar. And hey, listen, if you still want to work part-time, maybe just slow down a little bit so you can spend more time with the kids and quality time with your wife and whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I'm 63, so I'm older than Rick. But I have friends that, and well, even my parents didn't, my dad passed away at 72. My mom's still going at 86. But I had friends that their parents were so excited. They scheduled one of those Viking cruises. Is that German rivers or something? They were so excited they were going to do it on their 50th wedding anniversary. 2 weeks before they were going to leave, she got sick. They couldn't go. And he's like, I cannot believe we put that off when we could have afforded it earlier. We decided to be cool on our 50th wedding anniversary to do it. And then, Rick, all of a sudden, her health's not good, and they never made that trip. I mean, that's kind of sad. That's what you're talking about. Don't put it off if you can do it now.
100%. Do not put it off if you can do it now. And if the only reason why you're putting it off is because you don't have the confidence level in the current plan that you have, that's what I was just saying earlier. Sit down with a professional that actually does this every single day, and someone that actually specializes in retirement planning. And I want to emphasize this again. Someone that specializes in retirement planning. And the reason why I say that is because there's some advisors out there that kind of deal with everybody, everybody from 20 years old all the way up to 85 years old. They don't necessarily specialize in retirement planning, because the difference is, if you deal with somebody that specializes in retirement planning, we can actually share ideas. We can share experiences that our own clients have been through that during retirement, and kind of give you a little bit of a heads up. That way there's no surprise. We can say, here, here's what clients have done or situations they've been in. And here's some things that you may want to consider that retirees go through, because we see this so much. So we'll be able to bring, because so many times I'll sit down with somebody and I'm going over it, and they're like, Rick, you know what? Thank God I came in, because you know what? I didn't even think about that. And I'm so, because if I would have never come in, I would have never been exposed to that. And now, God forbid, this and this happens. Now I'm hit by surprise. So if not only sit down with an advisor, but somebody that specializes in this particular area.
Absolutely. And that's what the Big Picture Blueprint is all about. 800-700-1980. And it's putting a plan together. It gives you the freedom. At least you know where you are. You're going to have some clarity into where you are on that road to retirement. To sit down with Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisor Group, again, it's 800-700-1980. There's no cost to you. 800-700-1980. I think it's going to be eye-opening for you, regardless if you become a client or not. You're going to know more. When you leave the chat with Rick, you're going to have he always guarantees you a couple ideas that will enhance whatever it is you're currently doing. So it's a win-win for you. You're going to come away with a lot more information about where you are on that road to retirement. 800-700-1980. You think about the go-go years are fun, the bucket list, all those things we wanted to do. The slow-go years, we're still going to spend money, but now maybe it's going to the doctor. The no-go years, maybe it's long-term care, maybe we're in a facility, maybe we're at home being taken care of. But the thing is, Rick, we don't go, okay, Rick, at 55 to 60, that's when I really really want to plan those go-go years. And then I'll come back and we'll talk about the slow-go years when I get into my 70s. And we'll get to those no-go years once I'm getting closer to 90. You don't wait. This is the retirement big picture blueprint is all about all stages, and then we adjust as needed, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we were saying is planning in advance. Because the more time we have on our side, the better our planning can do. We can leverage certain strategies in your favor. So that way you know exactly what to expect. You know what scenario, whether it's long-term care, healthcare costs, whatever it is, we can say, okay, here's a plan that's going to address your travel. And then later on, when you decide you don't want to travel, here's a plan that's also going to address, long-term care or healthcare costs and all the rest of it. Or maybe some people, depending on the size of their estate, maybe they're worried about, hey, listen, once we get to this point and we're in what you say, the no-go years, hey, maybe we want to do gifting, so that way we can, now that we're not traveling as much, we're not spending as much, maybe we want to make sure that we minimize estate taxes, and maybe we want to, give some of these assets, to some of the kids or whatever the case may be. Bottom line, you have a plan for it. So that way, whatever the economy throws at you, whatever your life situation throws at you, we have a plan that's malleable and can be adjusted. Because again, sometimes I get people that come in and let's just say on the surface, they're like, okay, Rick, I'm not quite sure when I retire, exactly how much income I'm going to need. We have a ballpark idea. As you get settled into your retirement, we know we may have to adjust some of these numbers. And yeah, we may know you have grandiose ideas about traveling, and maybe you decide, hey, maybe I don't want to travel as much or whatever, things change. Well, because we have a relationship with our clients, we'll know how to adjust the plan so we can bob and weave and maybe even pivot to change along with your life situation.
So I think we all get the go-go years, the fun times. Slow go, well, we can still go. We don't really want to. We got other expenses now. Maybe it's not travel now, it's a doctor's. No go, maybe we are in a facility, maybe not, but maybe we need help around the house. We can't go like we used to go. How are we going to leave everything? There's so many moving parts, and that's why I think Rick brings up such a great point. Work with somebody that actually works in the retirement planning world, like Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. They can walk you through the go-go years, the slow-go years, no-go years. What's your situation? We don't know how long we're going to be here. We don't know if we're going to have health issues. Give them a call. It's a great opportunity for you. No cost, no obligation. 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. Rick, enjoyed it as always. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC, is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC, is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC. This radio show is a paid placement.